Good evening, everyone. NEP reform was done almost 34 years of introducing education policy. Policy is encouraging and needs effective implementation. This also needs due deliberation, also why Indian schools are not amongst the top 100 in education, but we have secured a top rank number one in the mental depression. Our youth is most depressed that the survey says. India as a country itself deals with many problems, waste, plastic waste, air pollution, population, and so on. It is imperative that the basic ground has to be very, very strong to inculcate the right behavior right from the beginning. And this needs all stakeholders, universities, schools, parents, and students to frame the conceptual clarity on how much it is important to work in sync to contribute for the nation's growth. And having said that, there is no doubt student has to come forward in front of us to lead this. How? Let's discuss this in today's panel discussion. Pursuing the same direction, need of all stakeholders to work together for nation's growth. With me joining today is Ms. Ifat Ibrahim, Principal Sharak International School, Hyderabad, Ms. Divya Bhatia, Principal Amity International School, Saket, Ms. Archana from GD Goenka School, Gurugram, Ms. Meenu Dubey, she'll be joining soon. She's a principal of Euro School, Dharwera, and Dr. Maninder Kaur, Director, Gurugram, Guru Nanak Institute of Management, and Executive Director, Higher Education, DSGC Minority Schools and Colleges. My hearty welcome to all the panelists, and I hope you all are doing great. Great. So starting with Ibrahim, ma'am, with you. We are nowhere in the top ranked education institutes where our students are read to be Sundar Pichai, Indra Nooyi are the world's best company CEO. What should I understand by this and how to move ahead then with this kind of thoughts?
Mr. Juneja, you have to add Parag Agarwal also to that list, who is at 37, is the youngest CEO in the 500 companies of the world. It's a wonderful experience. It's a wonderful feeling that Indians are doing so well on the international and the global front. But yes, it is also sad that why is it that these Indians go abroad and they do so well, but somehow we are not able to meet their expectations back in India. But I would still like to mention a few names. Let's not forget Kunal Bahel. Let's not forget Raghuram Rajan. Let's not forget Meera Sanyal, Panindra Sama, Urjit Patel, and the others who have come back from abroad after pursuing their education and have created a name in the Indian scenario. Degree abroad is not the sole reason for their success, but definitely it's a great stepping stone. And as you said rightly, that unfortunately not a single Indian university is found in the top 100 universities of the world. Well, I would not like to be defensive, but we are still a young country. We're just 75 years old when we look at the other, compare ourselves with the other countries of the world. Yes, there are certain features of our educational system. The NEP 2020 reform is only the third reform since our independence, earlier being in 1968 and 1986. So the government definitely is trying, and I think we have to give them a chance. And the education system definitely, the NEP 2020 has or intends to bring a lot of change, a lot of conversion, and we have to give them a chance, as I mentioned. There are certain flaws which we all agree. 90% of education in India is theoretical. Academic subjects are given more importance. All students have to study the same subjects. They have to do math and science till grade 10, and they can only drop off these subjects only in 11th and 12th. Teaching methodology is outdated. And there is zero functional literacy and market knowledge. The students who pass out of engineering colleges still are not market ready. So we understand the flaws, and once we understand the flaws and the weaknesses, it becomes easier for us to overcome them. So now the changes which are envisaged in the NEP 2020, where there is a mix and match of subjects in the senior school and colleges, I think it's a great way forward. Hopefully in the future, this will be much more useful. So everybody will not have to study math or science, even though they are probably more artistically inclined. Vocational education will be integrated. We also need to focus on certain things. What attracts Indian students abroad? Definitely the quality of education, definitely the highly experienced and qualified faculty, which they are able to attract from countries like India by paying good salaries, handsome salaries, by all the privileges that they get. So if we are able to do that, I think we can reverse the brain drain, certainly. Research facilities are exemplary abroad. I think we can also look at that. The infrastructure is great. The flexibility of courses which the foreign universities offer will be something that we can emulate, which I think is an aspect of NEP 2020. More emphasis on practical experiences, a focus on quality. Syllabus has to be updated. We have to be in the times, definitely. CBSE in 11th and 12th offers a lot of subjects and a lot of new universities which have come up, university like yours. I was going through your website, you offer so many subjects which are in sync with today's trend. So I think all these facilities which we look at, hopefully, certainly will bring about a change in the near future, definitely in my lifetime, Mr. Juneja, I'm sure of that.
Absolutely, absolutely wonderful to hear. And we would like to come back on the concept of the young country, definitely. And taking the discussion forward to Divya ma'am. Ma'am, what are your thoughts on the same context?
Yeah, I think Mr. Ibrahim has probably summed it all up very, very well. Thank you very much for the question. Now, and congratulations everybody for Parag Agarwal. I think it's a great, great, great feather in our cap. It's not just Nui, Pichai, Parag Agarwal. We have Google, Microsoft, Adobe, IBM, Palo Alto Networks, and now, of course, Twitter, run by CEOs who grew up in India. And it's wonderful to watch their very, very amazing success stories, which I think does tell us that our education system is something to contend with, but it also tells us that America offers a lot of opportunities to people who move out of our country. Most of them have done their undergrad in India and then moved out. And a lot of students, even in school, as I see, in fact, every year, the number wanting to move out after school is increasing every year. So that I think we have to start looking at how our educational institutes can motivate children to join them by probably looking at their, the way the curriculum is planned, the kind of infrastructure that they have, and especially the higher educational institutes have to, like ma'am just said, Amity University offers subjects that probably have never been offered before. Similarly, there are other colleges. We've got liberal arts that has just come up in India. It wasn't there earlier. So one is to give the children the kind of opportunities that they need so that they can grow and excel in their own country. Another thing I feel is that somewhere we are not motivating our children to pursue excellence. We contend with mediocrity somehow, ki ho raha hai, theek hai, because it's not just these, maybe 20, 30 people who are making it big all over the world. It is that huge population of the country, 1.3 billion. So if you look at the population, there should be many more who are taking over the world. But we have to look at the geographical divides in our country. We have to look at how we can reach that vast expanse and get every child to learn. In fact, the last 1.5 years have really taken, given us so much to think about and learn, because online education, there are so many children who were left out. How to get them back into the fold now is in schools, probably in colleges also, how to bring them up to the mark. I look forward to the NEP bringing in its wonderful changes. One of them being that skill subjects have been introduced as early as class 6. So instead of just studying the normal subjects, history, geography, civics, they're going to be studying artificial intelligence, financial markets and their management. So there are skill subjects that have been introduced. The only thing that we really need to work upon is to move away from that rote learning system where you're only learning to the exams at the end, to a more creative way of teaching and learning, to more hands-on learning. In fact, with the Prime Minister's call of Atmanirbhar Bharat, the innovation among school children has reached a great potential. And I'm very proud. I mean, Amity itself as a whole, all the schools have so many patents. My school with 2,000 children already has 3 patents and 5 copyrights to their name. Children have been thinking of very new and novel ideas. Now, if this kind of research comes in at the early ages, our children can be groomed to do that. So somewhere we have to invest on the opportunities that are given to the children. We have to invest on the research work that can be done in our own country rather than have people go outside to do the research and make a success story out of themselves. We have the oldest system of education in our country, Nalanda University, which had people coming from all corners of the world. And I'm sure with everybody working together, because now, there's so much of collaborative learning. Online teaching has brought everyone on a global platform now. So we can, know each other's strengths and weaknesses, learn from other countries, but use the basic culture and the basic ethos and the really good points that Indian education system had. We are wizards in sciences. We were wizards in maths. So let's bring those up and allow our children free thinking. As ma'am just said that, that cut across the streams has been changed after the NEP. So now you're no longer kind of, cordoned off into a corner which says humanity and commerce and, the engineering students. You will have a flexibility in choosing your subjects. The higher education institutes now have to look at these and give the children opportunities to take these subjects when they go into colleges as well. And I have a lot of hope. I know that there is a lot of growth in our higher education institutes in terms of enrollments. Our children are, getting a chance to explore much more. So I am very sure that, our theoretical way of teaching is slowly going to change into more, rather than those traditional methods, we will go into more creative methods. And we'll find more success stories. And I'm sure our educational institutes will reach the top 100 very soon if all of us work together in this direction.
This is the interesting point, ma'am, that you have raised regarding the patents and the research at the school level. I will definitely would like to discuss more on that. Having said that, let's move to Archana ma'am. As Divya ma'am has suggested about, we have moved to NEP. This has been a great concept and all curriculum. That means it looks okay. Do you think implementation is the problem? And if it is so, what is the solution?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sachin, for the question. I think, yes, framing a policy which is beautifully framed by the government, NEP, National Education Policy, wherein they have taken care of the initial years till grade 12. And yes, it's very easy. It's like they have taken into consideration all the age groups, and now implementation. And if we are able to implement the policy, it will be a huge success. And for this, the teachers who are going to implement, who are going to take it into their classrooms and change the lives of the students is very important. But nowadays, when we consider teacher as an educator, so the expectations increase. And every teacher has to face different challenges when they go into the classroom. And some of the specific, if I talk about some of the specific challenges that a teacher faces in day-to-day teaching. So one is that understanding the learning needs of the children. So when he enters into the classroom, he finds a variety of students, and the teacher is expected to understand each and every child and then cater to the needs of the child and work accordingly, be it assessments or designing curriculum for the child or giving assignments to the children. So this understanding the basic learning needs of the children is very important. And what happens is that the students differ in their different abilities, like grasping the concepts, or concentration, ability to learn and write. And if a child is good in biology, he might not be very good in mathematics. Or if a child is doing wonderful in sports, or he is very much inclined towards a particular game, he might not be doing well in his academic front. So a teacher has to take into account all these and understand and devise his or her teaching methodology. Having said that, the role of a teacher is not limited to only curriculum teaching. The role has expanded to various other fields as well. A teacher is expected to do multiple roles in the classroom, like meeting the new demands of the subject. Yes, one thing. The second is correcting the materials, content presentations, managing field trips, as well as bringing in new creative approaches to meet the new demands of the children and to keep them engaged in their curriculum. So what I think is, yes, the NEP is a very beautiful step taken by CBSE, but then at the same time, the teachers are facing challenges. So a teacher would be a success if he or she devotes time and devise some creative ways to meet the curriculum, and so that it can better then contribute to the betterment of the education.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Absolutely agree with your points. And this brings me to the basic question. Minimum, can we have you on the camera, please? Minimum, can you hear us?
Yeah.
So my question to you is that once everything looks fine and everything is going great, so as a teacher, what difficulties you face when you want to ensure the students' growth?
Thank you, Sachin, for asking this question, because it's a very important question in everybody's life. Because of what I feel, that children never been very good at the listening to their elders, but they have never failed in imitating the things. So somewhere I find out that this is the main problem among the students. Whatever we are telling the student, that is a different thing. And when the children see all these things, whatever we are telling in the practical life, then they found themselves, it is a different thing. Here, I just want to quote the parents also. Suppose the parents used to say, never tell a lie to the elders. But they see that when they see that the parents themselves are telling a lie, then what they are going to get? Same way, when we are telling anything to the students, that is a different thing. And when they see the things in the practical life, then that is a different thing. Then they get confused among them what is right and what is wrong. And this is the big challenge for the teachers to the educator, how to make that difference. Because at the childhood, it's very difficult to make them very clear, this is right, better, and this is wrong. But childhood used to say that what my mama has said, that was different. And what the parents are saying at the home, that is different. What the teachers are saying in the school, that is different. Why it is so? Because somewhere the interaction between parent and teacher, somewhere we are lacking there. So that whatever we want to suggest them, that sometimes it's become difficult and sometimes it's become difficult for the parent. So students get confused to what they have to understand and what to whom they have to obey. So this is what I find, that this is a big problem nowadays, especially after the pandemic, after reopening of the school, after 1.5 years back, the students are coming back to the schools. Their mentality, their thinking, everything being changed. Because the discussion and the school, earlier they were thinking academics were important, everything is important. But at the discussion panel, when they're at their home, sometime ideally they have seen this education is not important. So now it's our responsibility how we can make them that efficient, to know better that education is equally important. So somewhere, whatever the things we are delivering and the student watching that is practically, something is different. So this is the big problem among the students.
Right.
And because of that, second problem, it's a common again, it's a
Meenu ma'am, you there with us?
Whatever you are saying, the social media will become a friend or best friend, or the healthy instruction, whatever you want to give. They will think in that sense, whatever the knowledge they can gain through the social media, might our teacher, might our parent would be wrong, but whatever the knowledge we can gain through the YouTubes and through the other things, so that would okay for us. If we are
Right.
not listening in the class properly, we are not attending the classes regularly, then also we will get the knowledge through the Google. So
Okay.
somewhere that social media impact among the students, that is also distracting them to think why does the school education or whatever the curriculum we have framed, that easily available everywhere, why to go to the school and why to listen to the teachers, why to listen to the parents. Again, to change of thought. That is again a problem among the students. This is again a big challenge. To make them understand why to come to the school, because nowadays students are responding that we will say go through the YouTube and we will get it. They're asking so many questions linked according to that. Might be because every YouTube channel, content provided in the YouTube is not correct sometimes. It's only for the publicity, or might be the knowledge, whatever it is. It might, we can't say it is 100% correct. Somewhere it may be not correct. So this is again the problem. So how we can make the social media knowledge, the delivering by that is correct and delivering by the school is correct. Again, problem with the students and all. And a third problem, as usual, it's a common general expectation of the parents, high expectations. Always, they never ask from the student, what do you want to do? They have started comparison and all. It's a common, I think there's no need to discuss, but still it's a problem among the students. And last, what I personally, because there's lots of problems, if I ask for the problem, so many problems are there. Parents constraint, family constraint. Sometime nowadays in the families also some problems are there. That psychology student, parent, that child get affected because of that atmosphere in the family. And when he is coming to the school, then he can't concentrate on that work, because somewhere in his mind, he's not that much fresh that to listen the things, because somewhere that things are going on in the mind. So family constraint, what the parents are expectation, what the family is providing, that every parent is not accept on the online or somewhere. Yeah, there is a problem in my house. But if you talk to, because as a principal, I'm discussing everything to my children also, as Modi ji used to say, Man Ki Baat. I always do one period to spend with the time with the students as a Man Ki Baat. So many things they are sharing with us. What is the motto of that? Only to read their mind. Because whenever we are putting 100% effort in the class, everybody's good, why the student is not getting those points? Because on that time, physically he is present, mentally he is not present, because he is thinking about those actions and that happened in the families. So all these are the problems. Somewhere, the conclusion of that, I would say, that we should have a parent session with the teachers and with the parents. Timely we should have, so that we can solve all these problems. We are the two persons only, educators at the school side and one at the parenting side. Because child is too small to understand all these things. As I said in the first point only, what we are saying and practically what he is observing, he get confused, and that difference can be waived off or removed off, can be only while talking to discuss, as this panel being discussed, we are discussing all these things. Discussing all these things. Discussion is the solution only.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you.
Maximum question I have covered.
For sure. In fact, I'll come back to you with a more query, because the points that you have raised has a valid concerns. But I would like to come to Dr. Maninder, please. Now, when we are talking about curriculum, I would like to take the today's incidents of the Twitter's CEO, the entrepreneurship aspect. So, Dr. Maninder, entrepreneurship is still at the nascent stage in India. No, IBM study, if I reveal the real content or the real study that you have mentioned, that we are not good at innovation majorly, or it is very, very slow. To be frank, in terms of words, they have mentioned we are the copycats in the IBM study. So I would like to know, when India with such a huge population, job creation is the way forward. So how we can implement this with the growth objectives? Please unmute, ma'am. Dr. Maninder, please unmute. Yeah.
Thank you, Sachinji, for such a nice question on entrepreneur development, because this is something which is has catch up a lot after this pandemic scenario. And listening to my panelists who have been talking about in the previous part, Ms. Divya ji, Ibrahim ji, Meenu ji, the product, or what I must say, the subject matter they have just come across regarding talking about NEP, talking about the reform sectors, and talking about the PTMs and the nature of the students after the COVID. What basically happens basically is that the very impact of the development of entrepreneur has caught up to a certain caterpillar form, that we need to understand that now we have to be the job creators and not the job seekers. And very much in a very well said in the by the previous panelist also, that skill set have is the part which is missing. The IBM study which Sachinji has just talked about, which says that we are not good at an extent good. But one, my panelist was saying that they have this, I think Madam Divya was saying this, that they have few patents to their school students. So this is good that the students are more inculcating towards developing patents, towards research, and something which they are obviously, when they have this innovative idea, they will definitely enter into this enterprise.
I guess my network is not supporting. You can either switch off the camera or maybe you can restart again. Dr. Maninder? I guess we have lost her in between. Ibrahim, ma'am, I would like to come to you for this question too. I would like to understand from your side how we can be a job creator economy than just to be a job seeker.
Very interesting, actually. Somehow I have a feeling that after 200 years of slavery, we have kind of become attuned to working for others. And that's probably the reason why, again, as I mentioned, I don't have to feel defensive being a young country. I think we all have to go through, there will be a time definitely, how we were in the past, as Ms. Bhatia has said, we were definitely top in the educational systems. We have to go through the whole process. Once the students or the people who have been abroad or even in India, if they realize that there is a lot that can be done here, if we open the opportunities. USA is known as a land of opportunities. Why do Indians or Asians or anyone, why do they want to go there? I mean, Indians would be happy doing a janitor's job in the USA, but if you ask a person to do the same thing here, he's not going to do it. The sense of the Americans, the sense of dignity of labor that they have probably is not so much in India. Again, for that, I would probably like to lay the reason on the different kind of setup that we have. So it will definitely take some time. I'm hoping that definitely a lot of businesses have been set up. People are, those who are from the business background, they do take up the business as their own future careers, certainly. But people will need to build up industry. And if they can do the same thing in the US or in foreign countries, they should be able to do it, provided the country is able to give them those opportunities. Our Prime Minister is doing a lot, certainly, as Ms. Divya has said about Atmanirbhar Bharat. If the support is given by the government, if the red tapeism, the bureaucratic setup is made a little bit easier, I think there is no reason why Indians will not come back. As I gave the example of all those people who have come back to India, why should we not attract the Indians back to home with a lot of, all the cutting of the red tape? I think the whole thing which blocks our way forward is red tape, bureaucracy, politics. I think all that, if things are made easier for entrepreneurs, if funding is made available, if from grassroots levels, from students, from lower classes, if we encourage a culture of innovation, certainly why is not possible? I don't think so that there is any reason why it should not happen, Mr. Juneja.
Right. I agree. So, Dr. Maninder, you are here with us again. Please share your thoughts. Please unmute.
Yeah, thanks a lot for this. I think there was some technical glitch. I'm really sorry for that. But what I was saying basically is no doubt in that, rightly said Mr. Juneja ji, that though in spite of being efforts made by the Indian government nowadays and even by the NCT of Delhi, Indian entrepreneurship has not gained such a good momentum which we have been expecting in past years. But what I have seen during the pandemic period is that the mindset of the people has made effect, that they have been more towards now working upon how to develop and make into the business and be the job creators now. But a lot has to be done in this field also. Now, what basically are the reasons for education or entrepreneur development is that most of the educated are the middle class people. They prefer the government jobs because they find it more secure rather than being into the MNCs. They say that those are the toughest ones. And what basically happens is that entrepreneurship is either pursued by the children who have the wealthy family, like they are there to support, or they are from traditional business background, which has been following it. And second are those that no other option left. Let's start a petty business like opening a roadside kiosk or say a food shop or something like that. So this basically is there. This is the mindset which the people usually have, and they don't go for that. Now, why people are more progressive about job? Because they have a huge respect in their mindset about the job holders. Similarly, if a businessman is there, if you say, if a person is getting, say, approximately 25 lakh, earning 25 lakhs a month, and a businessman is also earning the same point, they will have a respect for the person who is in job and not for the person who is in business. That's a fact. If you are entering into a party, this is a fact which usually come across. The service people, the inclination toward the service is more than that for a business. Well, the reason, second reason, maybe because that the talented minds are prepared basically from the very beginning, from the school set only. We say that they are made for having this white collar jobs, government jobs, private jobs they have to do. And there's so many reasons that why Indian entrepreneurship scenario is so grim that it is not taking up its phase coming up, even though through pandemic. Among various other reasons is a major reason which comes is that also the joint family system, social pressure, or maybe the India suffers from this caste, creed, class, which do they bring a traditional society, which says that in the entrepreneurship, I will just only invent. The father says, I will only give you so much of money. You can, if you succeed, okay, fine enough, develop your path. Otherwise, you leave and join the job. You do a job, earn the money, and then do the business. So this is another mindset which usually comes up. So these things which are coming, and the parents also prefer the children to take up this 10 to 6 job other than going for the entrepreneurship or business perspective. Beside this, there are many other obstacles, like, and they are the ground roots too for that. Like there is infrastructure facilities are very lacking in the raw material, capital market is there, then lack in the techno structure, which we say that the trained labor force is not there. These also add to the obstacles or the problems of an entrepreneur to think about how to go ahead with the business. Now, people are not only that, but highly obsessed with jobs, that if they don't get jobs, they think better to sit back, give a gap of a year, again try again for the job, but they will not be ready to go for the job, for the entrepreneur or doing for any or starting any business. So this is something you say that the young generation can't think or imagine a world without jobs, because we say what we do in the universities and in the colleges or the institutions, what we do, we always go in there and see that whether you have a good placement sale, We hardly go and see that whether you have a good incubation center. Do you have a good entrepreneur development teachers who are guiding you? Are you in collaboration where MS can become more innovative ideas? No, you will not find such. They will go and look for the placement. Where will get the heavy placement? Where will get the good placement, which is respected in the society? My student should get at least this CTC at the end of the annual year. Then this university is good. But the some universities who are giving you an incubation center, they are just putting up into the mind, nothing like that. The mindset needs to be business icons, entrepreneurs, industries, and not only to the job holders, but also the job. So this is very important. Now, why 10 to 6 job only? Where no holidays are there, extra jobs to work. Why do you want to do that? Where you are not getting out, there's no time to come back to even if you're coming home, you're just still thinking about your job. Do 10 to 6 job and you will be relieved. There's no tension at all. Don't bring the tensions home at the back. So this is another problem, that you don't want to be there. You just want to be a very comfortable life. 10 to 6 sitting, long hours of sitting in front of computer is fine. Stopping your mind innovative is that is okay, unhealthy, but we cannot give the job creators to anyone. We are happy with what is there. We are ready to work as a machine form. And last but not the least, I will say that in our country like India, the typical mindset pertaining to jobs, that only we have respect for the job holders, high level jobs. And even if the businessman is there, he says, no, I am giving this. What are you getting? I have 3-4 people working under me getting the same salary. He will say, no. Still, I am happy because I don't want to take extra pain. I don't want to get into the fuss. Today there is a profit, tomorrow it is loss. End mein to that's going to be a similar part. What is I'm getting at the end is exactly the same. So the very problem is that the mindset of the people needs to be addressed, needs to be changed. And when, if you give me time, Sachinji, I will just like to have a corrective measures also for this. That how can we do this? Is number one basically is by improving the quality of education from the school. I have my colleague sitting in as a panelist over there from the school, and I am from the higher education. And I have been directing my 13 schools also, CBSE schools. And we are into the trust, which is having 9 institutions also. And I have seen that the quality of education being imparted by the school makes the basic impact. That impact is followed and which is brought up into the institutional level. And Sachinji is very well said that I have been knowing him from long, and I see how passionate he is. And yes, Amity University, I've been getting students into universities also, because there are so blend of courses which are being offered, and we cannot find that replica in other universities, and we have to direct Sachinji, is the seat available? The students are looking for it. So this things which coming up over there is that improving quality of education, whether it is a governmental or education institution, we all must work together to ensure quality education, which regardless to what you call as the, like one of my panelists has given up, we must think out of how to move to these conventional universities. AICT is offering so many courses, different universities are offering so many courses. Ministry of HRD, Ministry of UGC. UGC is also doing a lot by giving up the bridge courses of skill development. So the quality education which is coming through NEP is to be inculcated in the very blood. Second is investment in the technology part, which is very important. Why? Because it will have to be very particular about the idea, audacious idea for technology-led growth and taking steps to realize it, which is very important. So what all you are doing is very important. Pardon? Yeah. Then is coming up, like one of the panelists was also mentioning. Is it okay now?
Not exactly. So maybe I would like to come back again to you. My voice is cracking. Okay, I will come back to you again.
Sachin, may I just put in one point?
Would like
regarding what Maninda ma'am was saying. Just that although there is a mindset which needs to be changed, but I think very positively. So there is a shift now. For example, I was talking about these patents that have come about and the copyrights that the children are doing. An app made by a student has been given 50,000 rupees for further innovation by CSIR. The child is second all over India from my school. My students developed as a small science project, a herbal sanitary napkin. That was mentored to such an extent by Learning Links Foundation, by Niti Aayog, by Dell, that today they are entrepreneurs themselves. They are manufacturing the napkins, they are packaging them, and they're selling them. They've already got a grant of over 1 lakh and getting more. So I think somewhere the mindset is changing. And I am very hopeful that, you know, with this call of Make in India, we are going to get more entrepreneurs and more skilled people joining the business world.
Absolutely. And just sharing our center from the university aspect, because it's all stakeholders balance we discussed at the university level itself, so that we are having this incubator system. And the ideology behind this and how we are implementing here at Amity, that right from the very first year, student has to start working on the ideas. So very happy to share that right now it's been an institution innovation council that has been established in the university, and whole the innovation system with respect to startup ideas has been revamped, and now a lot of opportunities has been given up to the students to nurture those ideas and implement it. So of course we are on the right track. Probably we need to step up a more. But having said that, I would like to bring another important area of concern for all of you school educationists and we as a university model university representative is the mental well-being. Now, another area where I believe we have done a little less, or maybe what we are doing is less. The students are so much under pressure of the marks and choosing subjects as per their choice, maybe 2-tier cities or 3-tier city schools, or maybe to a parent who just want their wards to be like them. What awareness and pedagogical steps you would like to recommend to get rid of this? Ibrahim, ma'am, I would like to ask this to you.
Thank you, Mr. Juneja. Yes, this is a very important topic, mental well-being, and especially I think we have to give credit to the pandemic to bring the focus on mental well-being so very sharply. We all understand India has been it has been a tradition to churn out doctors. When I was a student, doctors and engineers. That's what it was when I was a student. There was no other career option available. But now I'm very happy to see that there are a lot of options which are available. I think, Mr. Juneja, what I would like to say is that times are changing. And I think we also need to understand that over the times, when we look at the generations, our parents, for example, when you look at 3 generations, let's say our parents, us, and our children, I think we are in a happy position because more and more parents are working. They have different kinds of career options available. Computers have come into our lives. Women are working as well. So when a woman works, that means it educates. When women are educated, it educates the whole family. It has brought about a whole change in the society, the mindset of the whole families. So I think we are in a better position, definitely. But yes, as you mentioned that in the tier 2 and 3 cities, there is probably still a pressure, and maybe basically because the women there are not yet so educated. They are not going out to work. So probably the pressure on the schools is higher to make the parents understand. I think it's the responsibility of the schools to educate the parents, to tell them that medicine and engineering are not the only 2 options available. Math and science are not the only in things in life. As Ms. Bhatia mentioned, liberal arts are there. And we don't have to focus only on on sciences, in your student, in your child, an artist could be lurking, a musician could be lurking, an athlete does not need physics. Good marks are good, fine, but if the marks don't happen to meet the expectations of the parents, I think the parents have to really understand, and it is the responsibility of the schools to totally, I believe, because somehow or the other, I would not like to say that parents and teachers, parents and schools are on two sides of the children pulling each other. It's not definitely like that. Things have changed. The three of them have to work together. All the stakeholders have to work together and move in the same direction. That's very important. So schools have to take a lead here. They have to enlighten the parents. They have to make them aware that there are so many career options available. And I think the present day India is in a good space. It's in a good place. There's so many options available. Parents have been abroad. Parents have worked abroad. They have come back to India. They're working. So the schools definitely have to teach the parents. So that first responsibility is with the schools, that high expectations. I mean, there was a time, I think you're all aware, the cutoff of SRCC was 100%. I mean, we were all, who would get 100% and how many children would SRCC get? That was really too much. But then fine, expectations are there. But then this kind of pressure, so we have to look at two things. Somehow we have to educate the parents not to build up so much pressure, not to shove their expectations onto the heads of their children. That's very important. So we have to educate them through that. And if they are not able to do it, then we have to tackle the child. And for that, CBSE has done a lot. They have appointed counselors. They have done the IOAR service. Counseling is always available. And I think all the schools that we have presently have their own counseling committees. So first of all, pressure on the parents not to pressurize the child. And if the children are pressurized, well, then we have our counselors who will be looking at them. So that is one entity, but then it cannot be left only on the counselors. Each teacher herself or himself has to do the pep talk, because ultimately who understands the child better? The teacher. Funnily enough, whether we like it or we don't like it, I think children are spending more time with us than with their parents. So I think if we have to brainwash them, then we can do it much better rather than their parents. So the teacher understands the child better, and somehow I have a feeling that the parents are willing to listen to the parents, to the teachers, because now they understand that teachers are taking good care of the children. So exam is important, marks are important, but marks and examinations are not the end of it. They're just a part of life. I think people are accepting that. Probably a change will come in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, but well, it will be. Now looking from the parents' perspective, be open. They have to learn not to pressurize the children. Anxiety is fine, anxiety is good, but they must understand that children are also nervous. They have to extend their support to them and not transfer their tension onto the child. They have to take the tension from the child onto themselves. So they should try to resolve their issues. All this, as I mentioned, we have to deal with it. Then apart from that, in our particular school, in my school, for example, we have counselors, then we have certain activities. So the emphasis is not just on academics, the emphasis is also on co-curricular activities. We are a part of Cognita group of schools. So we celebrate Global Be Well Day. We celebrate the Socio-Emotional Learning Day. We have virtual exchange programs during the pandemic. So that was really good. We had special activities, the whole school, and I'm sure that happened with all the schools. Whatever activities that we were able to do in the physical school, we carried online. So that was a good experience that we all had. And I'm sure that, yes, children, they shifted their thought process to a different platform, or the online platform. But I'm sure it was a good learning for all of us. And when we come back and the whole normalcy restores itself, it would be a good learning for all of us. And I'm sure that it will be, a good space again for all of us.
Perfect.
Back to you, Mr. Juneja.
Perfect. And I completely agree with you on this. Now, having said that, we have discussed a lot about curriculum, mental depression, entrepreneurship. Now, I'd like to come to another important aspect that we at Amity University are being very, very clear about, and our goals and agendas meet those objectives, and that is sustainable development. We, India, with the 150 crore population, we have to think more about sustainability right from the school arena as well. Would like to have this question to Divya ma'am, because at Amity, I believe we all are from the same family. I would like to know more from you, ma'am, sustainability development awareness at the school level, and how we can ensure that student has this awareness and arena to implement to give a better India for all of us.
Thanks, Sachin. In fact, I would say that awareness about sustainability, about the environment, about the kind of earth you're going to leave back for your children later, for the new generations, is probably the most important today. And our children are extremely aware of it, because as we see every year, they're facing this problem. Whether it is the pollution that happens post Diwali and they are made to sit at home, or it is the fact that resources are getting scarce. So at school level, I'm very proud to share that at Amity, and I'm sure all the other schools are also doing it, we make the children work on the 17 Sustainable Development Goals right from the beginning. In fact, from class 1, they start trying to understand, like they pick up one goal at a time or two goals as they grow older. And they do project work on that, water for everyone, food for everyone. We bring it down to their level, of course, so that they understand that they need to recycle their resources. We ask them to use their previous notebooks to the best of their ability. Every scrap of paper, the children know this, every scrap of paper in our school is recycled again. We have a paper recycling room. So every scrap of paper is recycled to make new products. So somewhere or the other, children are being trained to understand that waste is not an option anymore. Our generation, in fact, is the one that needs to be blamed for the kind of wasters we've been, for the kind of plastic that we've grown to use. So this generation is suffering the consequences. If we put a stop to it even now, I think we can make a good future for the children coming in next. In fact, we do a very special exchange program in our schools with a school in Japan, where the children discuss sustainable development issues every year, once in a year. We were physically going to Japan, now we are having it online. And together they talk about, like, for example, Japanese children talk about a village that they have, which is a zero waste village. Nothing gets wasted, even old denim jeans are recycled and bought at a lower price by other people. So our children are able to understand that throwaway is not a culture anymore. So definitely, in fact, I would say that somewhere our education minister and our, the planners, the curriculums should start looking at incorporating these skills right from the beginning. Children should not say, I will not wear my older brother's dress. I remember I wore my cousin's dresses, and then my other cousins wore my dresses, and how we were always a pass me down. But now children have a lot of, like, I'll wear only mine. So that culture also has to change. So those were some of the good things that we had, which we need to get the present school generations to get.
It's so amazing to hear about the paper recycling room and all. And I would definitely like to see it and take the knowledge and energy. This is something amazing that you have shared, Divya ma'am. Moving to our last leg of conversation, I think one point that we may be missing is about skilling. Dr. Maninda, this question is from you, because you're from university and college background. 50% only of the youth is employable. We all know that. And in fact, that too have just now improved. Previously, it was 27%. What is the problem? And what is the solution? Crepes, clear from you.
Sachinji, the question is very, very heavy, and it is very, very prominent, because the today's youth, we say graduates. I will just start from the scratch. You see, when there was a time when we used to say that the children should be at least 10th pass. Then we say they should be at least 12th pass. Then we said that they should graduate, and now we say they should be postgraduate. And now, after the pandemic, we are saying not only postgraduate, they should be skilled. So the major problem which the people are facing right now, by the word I mean is the young generation, is that the youth unemployment is among the major concern and is one of the most widely discussed issues, which we are not able to have the resolution till date, and it is continued, and even pandemic has made it worse. But still the solutions is there, because the word impossible is not and cannot be into the dictionary of the academicians. The people who are the innovators, the people who are ready to learn, the people who are ready to skill themselves, the word impossible is almost gone. So they have to understand, again coming back to my previous what I was talking was that we have to be the job creators. We have to initiate, we have to motivate the people for the job creators. No, it's not the number of the years that we are required to spend in school and colleges that's going to land up your job. We always see this, but what is happening? NEP has done that. NEP has just changed the subsequence from say 10th pass, then it will be 2 years, then 3 years, then you'll be getting a diploma and a degree. Whole scenario has been changed into the concept which has been now adopted by the abroad, and India, as per the government policy, is be following the same part. Now, according to a report, almost 2 million graduates and 500,000 postgraduates are unemployed in India. That's a very good, I mean, very heavy number. Around 47% graduates in India are not suitable for the kind of industry role. Now, I will repeat my word, for the kind of industry role. It means basically that the education is not the issue. The issue is they are not ready for the job. The skill set which has been asked for, which is looked by the industry, they don't have that very skill set within themselves. Whichever school they have gone to, whichever institute they have gone to, whichever university they have gone to, the skill which has to be imparted from school to the university is not being imparted in the same ratio which is been required by the industry nowadays. And that is the reason that in the first question, Sachinji was made to take up a study of IBM. And that is the reason that nowadays so many industries are coming up and they're opening their own colleges. That you study from us, you do courses from us, and we guarantee you the job. We are going to develop, and then the major cream will be taken by us only, and rest will be definitely employed here or there, or they will have the internships and they will be taken care of.
I would like to interrupt, ma'am, here, and would like to discuss from you, is this the only a problem of a curriculum, or do you think student is not been able to meet the standards of the universities, or maybe not putting up the right effort? What is your take?
Very correct. The student basically is not able to meet the class because the one part is the lacking of the skill-based part. What basically is the skill-based? It says is that the lack of skill-based education in schools and colleges is the main reason for unemployment. This is the reason that the government of NCT has now developed this entrepreneurship and development university once again tall. AICT has introduced so many MOOC courses, Swayam and NEPTIL, where the students are required to brush up their thing. Only they have to add up in the resume, and the now credit system will be evaluated as per that in their resume, what is there in NEP. So these is the basic part. For these reasons, after completing of graduation, basically what happens is while facing interviews, students themselves lack in basic issues of soft skill, that is the confidence and the spoken English. That
we lost you, ma'am. Yeah, so maybe some issue. So yeah.
Basically is left but not to have is having a devastating impact on the life of the children. So that is something which is happening up now. The country's unemployment which has rose from say 27.11% in May 3, 7% has been increasing every year. Now the increase, this stats which is coming up is very which is making us very much concerned about and frustrating that how can we bring about the changes. And the names we have given is the main part is that we have to inculcate the mindset one, which we have been discussing throughout this in this conference from this rostrum. And number two is the government has to take an initiation of developing the skill development aspect into the people, so that tomorrow, even if the page of what you call as a degree or a diploma they are having, it's not working, at least they are able to do something and they can earn from the table they have put across the road. So this is something which even I feel from an institute that the students must earn. Now, what happens basically when we're talking to the students, they say that we want to become a teacher. What is the reason? We will just do it B.Ed, we will do CTET and we'll join the school. We will do NET qualify UGC and we'll become a faculty of the institute. That is a mindset. But whatever they are lacking is still the teachers are coming up. They have done PhDs, they have done double PhDs, but they are lacking in their communication skills. Their confidence level is low. They if you're talking to one them, they are able to make you justify, they are able to talk to you. But when they are being made to talk to the 30 students in a class, they are not able to deliver the lecture. So they are doable things are basically the lacking part. The confidence is the main part. The skill development is the main part. So these are the things basically which I understand on a larger note that has to be. And one major part, Sachinji, is very, very important is students nowadays have become too much enthusiastic, too much looking for the future. If they're getting a CTC of say 5 to 6 lakh, they will say, no, even though the profile is okay, we're not going to join. Give us at least a CTC of 6 or 12 lakh. Their aspirations have gone so long. They're not seeing that they have just crossed graduation. Are bhaiya, just take profile first, get the experience. And that is the reason why ISB is saying, do you after graduation, at least do a job, have an experience for 2 years, and then come back and then opt for doing an MBA program.
Perfect.
This is the reason the concept is changing. This is the reason which has been adopted by the abroad people. And this is what we are even thinking in India also. And slowly, definitely the Amity University is the first one I'm seeing who's working along all these ideas. And definitely it will be coming up. This is, I think from my side, which comes up, that's yes, which has been required. And though we are seeing that the basically what happens is the main decisions which are coming up is dismissing the people, asking employees to go into indefinite. Now, what basically companies have been doing? Companies are doing this part only. They have been slashing down the salaries. They have been, during the COVID period, they are doing all this. But if a person who is a skill developed, obviously he has given generations, he have given food to the generations who are coming up. He has held the hand of those people. He had helped them out of all this. So by this thing, I think COVID has shown us a lesson that like one of the panelists was saying that the children are not ready to education. We have to make them, we have to explain them that the education is important. She's very true in saying this, because in COVID, what has happened is one aspect which I'm doing a research paper also, which says that the students sometimes even once me also had this idea that why are we doing education? Why are we getting PhD degrees? Why are we doing so much research work? Why? What is education? Family is the only part, because COVID has told you beyond family, there's nothing important. Lockdown kabhi bhi lag sakta hai, government kabhi bhi laga degi. It is a family is going to support you. So, but this is not true. This is only a fascist part which will stay for 1 year or a 2 year. You finally have to get the education, because education is only a scenario which will move up towards, take you upwards and make you understand the scenario and the job scenario which is there. So I think this is which I wanted to say. So
Perfect.
we have to.
Thank you, ma'am. We are just short of time now. So it's been an amazing learning thoughts from each one of our panelists. Thank you so much, Divya ma'am, Ibrahim ma'am, and Dr. Maninder, and I think we lost Dr. Meenu also. The few important points which I jot down and something for our audience and for our panelists for next to ponder upon is the parents and teachers interaction has taken a supreme role now after the COVID. I think this is very important. Man Ki Baat is something another that has taken a critical step, that we as a teacher should more engage with the students to understand what apart from study it's going in their mind and how we should take it forward. I really love the point of research and patenting mentioned by Divya ma'am, and superb thoughts regarding the SDG goals. I think if students are currently doing at this level, we are very sure that we are going to have a great nations ahead with us. With these thoughts, thank you so much, our esteemed panelists, for joining us today. And thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Pleasure,
Thanks
pleasure
to-
interacting with everyone.
Thanks
Great,
to all
great to have
panelists.
seen you virtually, Professor Maninder and Ms. Ibrahim, Meenu ma'am, Archana,
Same here.
everybody. Thanks, Sachin, so much.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It was lovely talking to all of you.
Yeah, regards from my side also, and thanks a lot to Amity University also giving us this rostrum to just a platform to sit and to discuss. This is all the effect of pandemic that we are virtually talking. Otherwise, would have been spending time and going. It would have been difficult for us.
Would
Sitting at
love
this.
to. So that's next in the plan. So be ready to get in a soon an invite from our side to visit at the campus, and we are going to have a conclave here. More than
Sure.
welcome.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.